things are getting bad and fragmented, but it's not like there's a whole army and a general who's turned his army on Rome. But there's Sulla. So I told you it takes two. This is Sulla. He's kind of a dick and kind of a sociopath, or at least some people think so, but I'm sure that won't come up at all. But he's also a really good general, and younger than Marius. Marius hates Sulla, Sulla hates Marius. It looks like Rome was in yet another war in 87 BC. This time in the east, a general is needed. Therefore, the Senate gave command of the army to Sulla, who was the other consul at the time. Marius, now over 70 years old, decided he still wanted some military glory. So he talked to his tribune friend Sulpicius, who had a gang around him that he literally called his anti-Senate. And he got him to bring up the idea to the tribal assembly of giving Sulla's command to Marius. So Sulla, as consul, in retaliation, decided to halt all public business so the tribal assembly couldn't vote on the matter. Then Sulpicius started a riot. Sulla was chased right into Marius's house. Yes, Marius's house. Now, there are multiple stories for what went down in the house between Marius and Sulla, but I imagine it like this.
What the hell, Marius?
What? I've been here all day.
That bastard Sulpicius wants to give him an army to you.
Oh, well, I guess you better do it.
Whatever happened, Sulla exits the house and resumes public business. As a result, Sulpicius gives command to Marius. But it appeared that Sulla had other plans, and he beats the tribunes that Marius sends down to southern Italy to take command of the army until he gets there, and the army beats, literally, the tribunes. Oh yeah, and he starts marching towards Rome. The Senate hears about this and gets a little nervous, and decides to send someone to tell Sulla to calm down and go fight the war he's supposed to be fighting. But Sulla just kind of goes and talks to his men and tells them to make camp. So the Senate's like, okay, I guess he means alright, I will do what you say. Now, if Sulla was listening, he must have heard the senators really wrong, cause instead Sulla violently enters the city looking for Marius and Sulpicius. I'm sure he just wants to talk. Which is good for Sulpicius, because the slave appears to be giving him up to Sulla's army. Oh, it looks like they didn't want to talk. Well, Sulla gives the slave his freedom for all that effort, and then he has his men execute the guy, cause Sulla's crazy like that. Well, they're certainly taking their time. Oh, there we go. Marius, on the other hand, makes it all the way to Africa, so Sulla decides to name him a public enemy. Finally, Sulla goes and fights the damn war he's supposed to fight, and he leaves Rome to heal. This was the very first time that a supposedly friendly general decided he could invade Rome. It definitely will not be the last time we see this happen. But, sadly for Rome, Marius comes back to Rome. And it's safe to say he isn't in the best of moods when he enters the city. Like, for instance, Ancarius just goes up to Marius and waves to him, just to kind of say hi, and Marius doesn't even acknowledge the guy, so his men take that as a sign to murder Ancarius on the spot. So that really bums everyone out on just waving to Marius at all in general. After some good old-fashioned vengeance on Sulla's supporters, Marius makes himself consul for the 7th time in his life, which is quite an achievement, as no one had ever done that up to this point. But Marius doesn't have long to enjoy that, because he dies within a couple of weeks of being made consul. He was 70. But his supporters are still in charge of the city. But Sulla hears about this, and his war is finally done. So he starts to march his army back towards Rome for the 2nd time, and he's bent on civil war with Marius' supporters. After a bloody and needless civil war, Sulla comes out as the winner. The city's people receive a lot of the pent-up anger from Sulla, and his men kill a lot of people. Sulla also makes himself dictator for writing laws and maintaining the state indefinitely. So one day, Sulla was proceeding over the Senate, and a senator popped out and ventured to ask a question.
How long is this gonna go on for, Sulla? It's totally cool if you want to kill people, but I mean, at least tell us who you're not going to kill so they can feel safe.
I don't know who I don't want to kill.
Well, then who do you plan to kill?
Sulla thought about that for a night. Then, without consulting anyone, he put up a list in public of 80 names, then some more the next day, and he called them the proscriptions. If your name appeared on this list, it was essentially open season on you. Your sons were barred from holding any public office, your property, of course, sold off. This actually brings us into contact with the very first person we'll be grading, albeit next episode, but it's always nice to have an early introduction. Meet Gaius Julius Caesar. He's 17, and Sulla just heard about his marriage to Marius' friend's daughter. Sulla goes to Caesar and tells him to divorce his wife. Caesar refuses, and Sulla's reply is to proscribe Caesar. Caesar flees into exile soon after. Sulla apparently said of him, "There are many Mariuses in that one." Good predicting, Sulla. See you next episode, Caesar. But Sulla was also busy writing laws, too. As a hardcore conservative, he decided to aim as many reforms at the tribunate, and he muzzled their power in an attempt to stop any popularities from popping up again. But rather stupidly, he didn't pay attention to the problem of the homeless vets needing land and looking for generals to provide and stuff. So as a result of this, most of the reforms were simply switched back to normal after, well, Sulla relinquished power, retired, had lots of kinky sex, and died of yelling. Personally, all I think he did was prove that if you have a large army at your back, you can pretty much take over Rome, too. Caesar gets a lot of blame in how the Republic ended, and to be honest, before I felt comfortable grading him as a proto-emperor, I felt I should cut him some slack. Because, like a fine pair of underwear that becomes worn over time, it's really hard to say exactly when the Roman Republic ceased to function. When does the underwear stop being underwear and just become shredded fabric? A question for the philosophers, not amateur historians. Bottom line, Caesar shouldn't be fully blamed for deciding to maybe try to throw out the ragged underwear of the Republic. The consequences of Rome obtaining a politicized army were enormous. Once Rome was set down that road, the nation would resemble a certain other nation in lack of stability. Looking at you, Egypt. Once again, if you notice anything that was incorrect or wrong, or even worse, uncredited, please leave a comment letting me know. I'll see you next time when we grade Caesar, the proto-emperor. Oh, wait. I just was reading through the sources to see if I missed anything awesome that I should tell you. And I just read that Sulla only had one ball. He was a uniball.